in a world where we actually don't always see our customer, it really is about paying attention and listening. That's where the story comes in, because we want the technology is the foundation that gets you from the moment you enter to the time you exit, but it's actually the story that helps to connect you and engage you and is often the reason you continue to come back.
Rob Walker, who's one of the founders of Significant Objects, along with Joshua Glenn, emailed me, said they were starting a project and they wanted to know if I would participate.
The purpose of this project was to give creative writers random objects that were acquired secondhand and ask them to invent a story.
It certainly is something, Lily murmured, upon being introduced to the object. But what kind of something is it? This, said Oliver, cradling the object reverently in his open palm, is the something that is going to save our marriage. Unlike most of the objects in Lily's environs, it seemed to raise more questions than it answered. He presented the project to me as an experiment in narrative and the ways in which narrative can add meaning and therefore value to something that might have absolutely no value. The project had significance not only on a literary level, but also with regard to commerce, and specifically e-commerce.
We understood that they would be posting those stories along with the object for sale on eBay.
eBay was going to be the mode of publication for our writing.
What I've learned most from Significant Objects is building the story creates value and ultimately can drive commerce.
And clearly, as this project shows, value is arbitrary.
What you see in the significant objects category of eBay sale is a person paying extra for the pleasure of reading a story that goes along with an object.
Stories are the foundation of what we do every day, and we use different marketing channels to actually tell the story. So what's important to me is understanding the customer and understanding where they are in their journey and starting to understand kind of what is their path to purchase and how I might present the things that they need to help them to get there. And so how do you bring a buyer together with a seller to create commerce in a unique way? My job is really all about telling stories, but in different forms and using different media.
Business transactions, whether online or offline, could not occur without storytelling, without communication on that level.
Perhaps the best-known example in the traditional retail universe would be J. Peterman, where you sell a jacket with a narrative, and the narrative adds to the value of the purchasing experience.
Stories make a transaction more human. Savvy entrepreneurs have known that for a long time.
We do a lot of research on what actually sells and why. Often there are buyers who continue to buy from the same sellers over and over, and it's because they've built a relationship and a rapport, and that rapport often happens through the story.
Commerce is another common bonding ritual. I mean, as almost at this point, as much as storytelling. So I think that the fusion of those two things makes perfect sense.
When you think about eBay from the early days, we could be considered the first social network.
When you look at a site like eBay, all the transactions are lubricated by story.
A quick story. And it's a story of a young girl that I just met. She was asking questions about kind of the auction process. Why would someone buy Princess Beatrice's hat for $130,000? And she said, why would someone do it? It's just a hat. And what I explained to her is it's really not just a hat. It's a hat that has an incredible story around it. It's the story of Will and Kate and their wedding, and the frenzy and drama and energy and beauty that went along with the whole world watching that come to life. And then it's the story of this princess who decided that she could add more value to the hat. She donated the hat for proceeds to go to a charity. And that value is beyond the fact that she wore it and it was photographed and in lots of magazines. It's about a hat that created exponential value for people who needed it. And so, again, that's about story.
It's incongruous. The buttery finish, the fluted spout, the air hole in the back of its head offering a peek into its ceramic innards, a glimpse of the thick cream that no one is supposed to have anymore. The torso pitched forward, the nubs of wings lifting, ready to employ itself in the service of our morning coffee. Except that neither of us drank coffee.
When I think about the significant object story and all that came to life in the experiment that they did, the fact is that they took kind of an item that had very little kind of dollar value at the time, and they created a world around it, right? And that world was all about story. And how I like to think of it is they enriched the item because they took something that was very basic and turned it into something that felt like a blooming flower. Each customer actually interacts with your brand in different ways, and they start to define the path that they're going to create for how they work with your brand. And through that understanding, we start to notice behaviors. In our instance, we see the sellers that you might like, the brands that you actually start to care about. And through that understanding of this really rich and beautiful and unique data, we can actually start to kind of personalize your experience for you. And as a marketer, what I find in the research that we have is customers actually don't mind if they really feel like you're doing it for them.
There are other shaving mugs that resemble this one, but none was created as this one was, by hand, with the assistance of a kiln, by a famous surrealist sculptor. This one was. In fact, it was wheel-thrown and fired by the Belgian artist Paul Coppens in 1932. Coppens, of course, was part of the group of artists supported by the patronage of Edward James. I have dreamed of a smiling shaving mug, Coppens wrote to James in June 1932, as sketches attached. It looks like a face, of course, because a face is the only thing that is capable of smiling, or is it?
I think a lot of brands, be it e-commerce or not, have similar challenges, and it's that customers have a lot of distractions, and there are a lot of things that they're focused on. And so as we think about the fact that you are sitting on your bed and you have your TV in front of you, you have your tablet in front of you, and you have your phone on your right-hand side, I mean, we're all trying to capture your attention in a lot of different ways. Mapping that out has been really important for us because we can build really strong contact strategies. The fact that we have mobile devices and we can shop anywhere we want. You can shop in the carpool line as you wait for your kid, or you can shop in the Starbucks line as you're waiting for your coffee. I mean, you can actually do this whenever you want, and it's about who's going to drive the right experience to help you to get to the products you're looking for.
I have something for you, she says. For me, he asks. For you, she says. Wait. Waiter, I'll have a pale gold drink. For you? Asks the waiter. I'll have one that's blue, and he coughs. Well, I'm so excited. Here it is, and she places the 4 tile on the table.
We did a TV spot, and it was mom jeans, and we posted it on YouTube, and it's gotten over 90,000 views. But then we actually started to tell the story of those characters, the mom and the daughter.
Mom? Holy crow, Susie!
For a Mother's Day spot, it's gotten close to 1 million views. But what's even more interesting is there are pages and pages on YouTube of just people who are talking about it. And so when you think about story, that is story. It's people telling you that they're making an actual connection with these characters. And they also do the same thing with products. People aren't shopping the way they used to. But what they are doing is creating a new ritual, which is they're going into a retail establishment, and instead of just going through the racks and picking out the new shirt, they're taking a picture of it. And they're taking a picture of it and they're comparing it to other things. When I think about how the retail business as well as e-commerce are kind of converging, it's because the customers are telling us what they want and how they want to engage with us. And so when you think about how mobile is actually helping to create the story, how people are actually using the web, how the tablet actually brings the images to life in new and beautiful ways. That's all about creating a story that people can actually jump into, almost like a book.